Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to our first Public Safety Summit Leadership meeting with our leaders from the CPPA and FOP. Over the last 6 weeks, we have been in conversations discussing three critical important issues around recruitment, retention, and deployment to make sure our city is as safe as possible. Today, we are pleased to announce an agreement on the first phase of those discussions around the recruitment of new officers to the Cleveland Division of Police. We're announcing 4 key initiatives to address the recruitment challenges that we've seen in our department. First, enhance cadet pay for folks joining the police academy. We're raising cadet pay to 83% of entry-level patrolman salary, going from $14 an hour to now $24 an hour. Secondly, we'll be offering a new signing bonus for new cadets of $5,000. The first $1,000 will be paid upon initial hire. Second $1,000 will be paid upon the completion of the academy. And the last $3,000 will be paid upon the completion of the probationary period. We'll also be offering a new fast-track advancement for new officers joining our ranks with a college degree or prior military service. And we'll also be offering a new reimbursement package for those who have taken the OPATA training through the state of Ohio at Tri-C, and reimbursing those costs if they decide to join the Cleveland Division of Police. Everyone around this table shares the same concern about safety in our city. And we're all focused on making sure we can do everything as a city, as an administration, and as union leaders to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep our city safe and secure. And I just want to both thank Jeff and Jim for their leadership and their good faith in these negotiations thus far. We still have a lot more work to do around retention and deployment. Those conversations will be ongoing over the next couple of weeks ahead. But today is a positive milestone for the city and shows positive progress to addressing our recruitment challenges inside the Cleveland Division of Police. And I'll let Jeff and Jim say a few words. Jeff?
Just, thank you to the mayor, the city council, and this team for getting us where we're at. Obviously, this union has always had concerns of our officers being mandated and working endless hours. I mean, the city's it's been violent, it's still violent, and these guys are working, and ladies are working as hard as they can. It gets disappointing every time we get a recruitment class in there and there's only 8, 10, 12, 15 people in there. It's my position, our position, that this is a great step to trying to get officers into the city of Cleveland. For my officers out there, we are still working on the retention. We still have work to do. But I think we take a great step going forward to trying to get men and women into the city and, give the citizens, what they deserve as far as the quantity of officers out there. You got the quality already. They're great men and women, and hopefully we give them a little break on this mandating and get us up to staffing here over the next couple of years. It's a long-term fix, it's not short, but I think we're going in the right direction.
Thank you, Jeff. Jim?
I think all my thunder was stolen. I'm Jim O'Malley, I'm the president of FOP Lodge 8. The reason that the Fraternal Order of Police is involved with that as the supervisors union is we're short supervisors as well as part of the ongoing problems with retention. And the only way to get supervisors to supervise the patrol officers is to get the backfill. So although today's announcement has to do more with the recruitment of officers, we have to recruit in order to backfill the patrol officers, to promote the supervisors to get us to the levels that we're at. So again, I thank the mayor and the CPPA and the partnership that we have here at the table. I'm looking forward to working forward with the retention aspect of this to show the membership that the mayor and the Fraternal Order of Police and the CPPA, we're serious about what needs to be done to recruit and retain officers, and in our case, supervisors within the Division of Police to continue to make this the best city that it is. Thank you.
So with this agreement, we'll continue having conversations about additional investments we can make to support the men and women of our police department. This is all a part of our RISE initiative, raising investment in safety for everyone. And hopefully today's announcement shows material progress around recruitment of new officers. We have a lot more work to do. That'll be the latter part of our conversation this morning and this afternoon. But you have my commitment and the commitment of our union leaders around this table to make sure we can see material progress for the residents of Cleveland. We'll have a few moments for questions.
When will the bonus go into effect? You have some of those recruits that have left already. Can you say, hey, we have
Yeah.
a bonus? Or?
So after the press leaves, we'll be signing the MOU, and hopefully as soon as the agreement's signed, we'll have the new bonus in effect immediately.
So the ones that left, is there any chance they could come back if they want that bonus? Or no, is it too late?
That's all part of the open to discussion.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you had any discussions yet today, or do you plan to later today about issue 24, Charter Section 115? I know officers, certainly have their concerns about that. Is that on the table?
Yeah, so both Jim and Jeff really expressed some of their concerns about the level of discipline that currently exists inside the department and how that's affecting morale and culture. And it's feedback I've heard as mayor from our men and women fighting violent crime all across the city. I believe we have a dual mandate of aggressive law enforcement to keep our city safe, but also constitutionally appropriate policing. And I know Jim and Jeff are committed to giving our administration some tangible ideas and tangible recommendations to make sure we can continue to have thoughtful, constitutionally appropriate policing, but also aggressive law enforcement to keep our city safe.
Mr. Mayor, how do you plan to keep the officers that you had retention? Oftentimes,
Yep.
we recruit, train, and then they are, in my word, not yours, stolen from us by other municipalities. What are you going to do to make sure that the folks who you hire, that we train, that we pay for, stay in the city?
Well, that will be the second part of our conversation this morning, talking about substantial investments in additional pay increases for the men and women of our police department, and retention bonuses as well, too, to make sure they feel supported, to make sure financially we are being a competitive department. We are in a war for talent right now across the country when it comes to law enforcement. And I've given my word as mayor that I'm not going to spare any expense to invest in public safety. And we're looking forward to those continued conversations around additional investments related to wage increases and retention bonuses as part of our retention aspects of these ongoing conversations.
Does that go to council first?
Well, the MOU that we'll sign does not need to go to council, but if we have additional wage increases, that might need to go to council.
Beyond the cadets or including the cadets?
Beyond the cadets.
Mayor, you're looking ahead with this, of course, laying groundwork for the future. What about tonight? We're seeing evidence of officers not being able to respond to shot spotter calls for 2, 4, even 6 hours. We had a guy shooting in front of his house, and he saw no police officers. The chief said it was at least 2 hours. That's under investigation. Our helicopter followed a wild, dangerous driver the other morning for more than half an hour, giving a turn-by-turn description even when that driver stopped, and no police ever came there. How can that be acceptable?
Well, I'll tell you this, and I know Jim and Jeff share the same sentiment. Despite the fact that we are down nearly 20%, every single member of our police department is working their tail off to keep our city safe. And not only are they working hard, but we've got more resources on the ground to cut down on violent crime. You saw that last week with the support of Governor DeWine and the State Highway Patrol. You saw that the week before with the support we've got from the U.S. Marshals on Operation 216. And today's conversation and today's agreement is another positive step forward to really addressing safety in our city. But we recognize we have a lot more work to do. This is a journey, but today's conversation and today's agreement is a positive path forward to address violent crime in our city.
How many officers do we have now, and what is your optimal level would you like to have?
Ideally, we want to be fully staffed, but Chief Drummond can give you the full number.
Harry, today we're at 1,226, and we're budgeted for 1,498.
Thank you.
Can you explain kind of what it's like right now? How much overtime are officers working, and how often?
I can chime in. The officers are working quite a bit of overtime. in all 5 neighborhood districts, and then some of the specialized units as well. And some of those, as Jeff just mentioned, Jeff Ullman, the CPPA president, some of it's mandated. We want to make sure we have mandated basically means that they're required to stay a little bit longer, depending on the shift and so forth. So in order for us to make sure that we maintain a level of staffing out there, sometimes we're forced to require officers to stay a little bit longer. So that we're not going to sacrifice the safety of our general public. But also important is the balance to make sure that we're taking care of our officers and men and women out there who are working diligently, as Jeff just talked about. And we want to make sure that they're not working too much. We want to make sure they have the opportunity to get rest. We want to make sure they have the opportunity to see their families, spend time with their families and so forth. And I think this particular agreement, or MOU that's just signed today is a really good positive step forward to be able to enhance our abilities to bring more people into the front door to assist our officers. And we'll work as the days come and the weeks go by to enhance our recruitment and also our retention of the officers relative to the salaries and so forth.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, the $24 an hour, how far post-academy does that extend? And can you give any specifics on the collegiate and military incentives?
Ahmed, do you want to discuss that, please?
Sure. So the 24-hour cadet wage applies while the trainee is in the academy. Once they finish the academy and join the force as a Patrol 4, they pay, their pay will transition to the Patrol 4 rate. With respect to the military and college education, a cadet that finishes the academy with those credentials will join the force as a Patrol 3. So they would skip the Patrol 4 level, which if you use today's wage scale, comes out to about a $3,700 one-year enhancement in compensation against what they would make if they just came in at the entry-level classification.
And that's college grad or any college course?
College grad.
Mayor, to follow up on what you said before about discipline, does that mean that you are open to changing the disciplinary rules as they are right now for police?
We haven't gotten there yet, but right now I'm in listening mode to make sure I'm getting real feedback, intentional feedback from Jim and Jeff and the men and women of our police department to make sure they feel supported, they feel respected, but they also have the tools that they need to have to keep our city safe.
Mr. Mayor, can you elaborate on the shot spotter? On 131st at a church, there was a shooting, and the residents didn't help. Talk about that. Talk about the importance of making that work for us, because see something, say something, it's not working, respond to it.
Yeah, you're talking about Reverend Mark Smith's church, Sanctuary Baptist Church on East 131st Street. There was a gunshot there. No one called 911. Luckily, one of our officers responded very quickly, offered first aid immediately on site because of ShotSpotter. Year to date, ShotSpotter has saved 6 lives, over 20 plus arrests, over 20 plus guns recovered. It's not a perfect tool, but given where crime is in our city, we cannot allow the perfect be the enemy of the good. And good work is being done because of technology like ShotSpotter. Well, in closing, I just want to say this. One of my community leaders that I admire, Evelyn Burnett, has this great quote that change moves at the speed of trust. And over the last 6 weeks, Jeff from CPPA and Jim from FOP have worked very collaboratively with our administration to get material progress on the first phase of this agreement around the recruitment of new officers. We have a lot more work to do around retention and deployment and really addressing some of the morale and culture issues inside the Division of Police, but I have a lot of good faith that we'll have additional progress because of the trust we've built to date, and I know we're all committed to getting the job done moving forward. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks. Now we get back to work.